Prostrations to Ramana, shining as the self in all beings. We begin this beautiful satsang with a prayer by Srimati Sapna Ganesh, which will be followed by the chanting of Muktaka trayam by Sri Nandakumarji.
Shivaamurti Sarandham Shankarayama Ramana Acharya Bharadaram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye Angikam Bhuvanam Yasya Vachikam Sarvavagmayam Aharyam Chandrataradi Tam Namasatvikam Shivam Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya. Namo Ramana to everyone.
Revatima, you want to do it again? I think our transmission, some problem was there. You can begin again. Yeah.
Yes, Uncle. दक्षिणामूर्तिसारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमां रमणाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये आङ्गिकं भुवनं यस्य वाचिकं सर्ववाङ्मयम् आहार्यं चन्द्रतारादि तं नमः सात्विकं शिवम्. नमो रमण.
एकम् अक्षरं हृदि निरन्तरं भासते स्वयं लिख्यते कथम् हृदयकुहर मध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रम् यहम् इति साक्षात् आत्मरूपेण भाति हृदि विषमनसा स्वं चिन्वता मज्जता पवनचलनरोधा आत्मनिष्ठो भवत्वम् देहं मृण्मयवत् जडात्मकम् अहं बुद्धिर्न तस्यास्त्यतो नाहं तत्तत भावशुक्तिसमये सिद्धात्मसद्भावतः धिया दृष्टात्मनिष्टात्मना सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचलशिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयं सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचलशिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयं. नमो रमण.
Namo Ramana. We will now have the chanting of Upadesa Saram by Uma Shripati.
नमो रमण. इदमहं पदाभिक्यमन्वहम् अहमिलीनकेऽप्यलयसत्तया विग्रहेन्द्रिया प्राणदीतमा नाहमेकसत्तच्चडं ह्यसत् सत्त्वभा चित्तया ईश जीवयोर्वेषधीभिदा सत्स्वभावतो वस्तु केवलं वेषहानता स्वात्मदर्शनम् ईशदर्शनं स्वात्मरूपता आत्मसंस्थिति स्वात्मदर्शनम् आत्मनिर्द्वयादात्मनिष्ठता ज्ञानवर्जिता अज्ञानहीन चेत् ज्ञानमस्ति किं ज्ञातुमन्तरं किं स्वरूपम् इत्यात्मदर्शने अव्यया भवा अपूर्णचित्सुखं बन्धमुक्त्यतीतं परं सुखं विन्दति ह जीवस्तु दैविका अहमपेतकं निजविभानकं महदिदं तपो रमणवागियम्. नमो रमण.
Namo Ramana. I now request Dr. Ambika Kameshwar and Dr. Vaishnavi Poorna to present a song on Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi.
सत्ताहि चित्ताय सदानंद रमणने तुरिय निरेवान परमे तुरिय निरेवान परमे सत्ताहि चित्ताय सदानंद रमणने तुरिय निरेवान परमे तुरिय निरेवान परमे रमणा सत्ताहि चित्ताय सदानन्दमायिये ताने तनक्कुवमया सत्ताहि चित्ताय सदानन्दमायिये ताने तनक्कुवमया சுத்திமலமொழிகின்ற சண்டமாருதமே தழை தோங்கும் அருள் வெள்ளமே சக்தி மழை பொழிகின்ற சண்டமாருதமே தழை தோங்கும் அருள் வெள்ளமே தழை தோங்கும் அருள் வெள்ளமே சத்தாகி சித்தாய் சதானந்த ரமணனே துரிய நிறைவான பரமே துரிய நிறைவான பரமே Ramana. நித்திமனமெட்டரிய உத்தம ரகசியமே உள்ளன்பினிற்கமுதமே. உத்திமனமெட்டரிய உத்தம ரகசியமே உள்ளன்பினிற்கமுதமே. உரையாத மந்திரம் உரைத்தனை அதன் பெருமை உரையால் உரைக்க வசமோ. உரையாத மந்திரம் உரைத்தனை அதன் பெருமை உரையால் உரைக்க வசமோ. உரையால் உரைக்க வசமோ. சத்தாகி சித்தாய் சதானந்த ரமணனே துரிய நிறைவான பரமே. துரிய நிறைவான பரமே. சத்தாகி சித்தாய் சதானந்த ரமணனே துரிய நிறைவான பரமே. துரிய நிறைவான பரமே. Ramana. This is a composition of Siddhananda Bharati. We will render one more song of the same composer. இதய குகையே இருப்பிடமாக உதய கதி போலுலகெல்லாம் ஒளிரும் அறிவே அருளே அன்பே ரமணா. அறிவே அருளே அன்பே ரமணா. இதய குகையே இருப்பிடமாக உதய கதி போலுலகெல்லாம் ஒளிரும் அறிவே அருளே அன்பே ரமணா. அறிவே அருளே அன்பே ரமணா. ரமணா 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 ரமணா. மந்திரமணி மருந்தெந்திரம் அவனே சிந்தையும் அவனே செய்கையும் அவனே. மந்திரம் மணி மருந்தெந்திரம் அவனே சிந்தையும் அவனே செய்கையும் அவனே. அவன் அவளது நீ நான் என உலகும் அவனியும் அவனே ஆருயிர் சிவனே. அவன் அவளது நீ நான் என உலகும் அவனியும் அவனே ஆருயிர் சிவனே. அறிவே அருளே அன்பே ரமணா. அறிவே அருளே அன்பே ரமணா. ரமணா 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 ரமணா. பேச்சிலும் ரமணன் மூச்சிலும் ரமணன் நினைப்பதும் ரமணன் நெஞ்சினில் ரமணன். பேச்சிலும் ரமணன் மூச்சிலும் ரமணன் நினைப்பதும் ரமணன் நெஞ்சினில் ரமணன். மனதிலே ரமணன் அனைத்திலும் ரமணன். மனதிலே ரமணன் அனைத்திலும் ரமணன். மனதிலே ரமணன் அனைத்திலும் ரமணன். மனதிலே ரமணன் அனைத்திலும் ரமணன். அறிவே அருளே அன்பே ரமணா. அறிவே அருளே அன்பே ரமணா. ரமணா 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 ரமணா. இதய குகையே இருப்பிடமாக உதய கவி போலுலகெல்லாம் ஒளிரும் அறிவே அருளே அன்பே ரமணா. அறிவே அருளே அன்பே ரமணா. அறிவே அருளே அன்பே ரமணா. அறிவே அருளே அன்பே ரமணா. நமோ ரமணா.
Namo Ramana. We will now have the sharing of by Sri Ji Kameshwarji. I request Sri Ji Kameshwarji to share his thoughts for today's satsang.
Rajan, can you hear me? I am filling in here for Venkatesh ji, who is not present. And I was thinking that I would just do some things, share something directly from Bhagwan's words. It is not anything that most of you would not have read and deeply thought about and even meditated upon. But there is this old principle of Vedanta that it bears repeating. It says, Avriti is needed. So that's an axiom there in Sanskrit. It says so. Avriti is needed. So it bears repeating. It bears repeating as many times as needed, and as many times a day even I talk about. So essentially what I thought is I'll just do a little bit of reading, and once in a while we may do a little bit of slight explanation or some thinking on some point, but mostly not. We'll just read, and it's going to be we will not be able to complete at all because it's slightly longer than what we at the time taken. It will also this is the kind of reading and explanation that can take actually a long time. But even though what Bhagavan has said is very, very short, but for us to explore, enjoy, think about, and communicate, it's for the Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasana, which is far away, at least Mananam, it takes a lot of time. But here it is. So what I thought I'll look and share is this little booklet, which most of you would have. It's coming in reverse. I don't know how it's coming in your screen. Here in Self, it's coming in reverse. It's the oldest, perhaps the first of the teachings formally given to someone else by Bhagwan Ramanaji, 1902 or somewhere around that time. Bhagwan would have been 21, 22 years old. And Shivaprakasham Pillai had gone up the hill and had put some questions to him, to which he had given some answers, which many years later, maybe around 20 years later, Shivaprakasham Pillai got it formally published in Tamil as Nanyar. And then this Nanyar has become a classic of Vedanta, and it has been translated into many languages, I presume. And I have seen in Tamil. Of course, Tamil for English, of course, is there, which I showed you now. Hindi is there. Nice, very nicely translated in Hindi as well. I'm sure it must be there in other Indian languages as well as overseas countless other languages. So we will try and just see a few questions. There are about 20 odd questions or so, I think, in this, which Bhagavan has answered. We will just take a few, whatever time permits today. We are now around 6:51 in terms of time. We will probably try to end it by 7:05, 7:10, maybe max. So you can stop me if you can just tell me in case I forget the time. Right. So the first question is very simple. Who am I? And Bhagavan's answer. Now, the questions had been put to Bhagavan at the time when he was Maunam. Meaning, Maunam means he was not speaking. It's not that he had any volition or any it's not that he had taken any vow that he will keep Maunam. But since 1896 or so, he had been not talking. He simply had not felt any sankalpa to speak. So at the time, when he was shining like he was absolutely the glorious son of Vedanta. This greatness of this young man, Shivaprakasham Pillai, who what is it that must have been his greatness that he put these questions to him? And then Bhagavan has answered in some way, either by some combination of gestures, and he also wrote perhaps on the ground or something, or on the slate, I don't know. the mud. I have no idea. But he did not speak the answers, but those answers were written and then he had converted this into it. He might have put it in some of these in his own words, but substantially it looks like it is it's directly from there that it has been received. So we will start it today. We will see how it goes. So it's who am I is the first question. So this answer goes that the gross body which is composed of the 7 dhatus, I am not. 7 dhatus, this is not in the book, this is just a side. 7 dhatus, the Ayurvedic 7 dhatus that the gross body is made of, which is the rasa, rakta, mamsa, medha, majja, asti, and one more. Okay, forgetting. Basically, all shukra, yeah, that's the 7 dhatus. Blood, flesh, fat, bones, like that. These 7 dhatus that make up the body. And then the Ayurveda says doshas can be there in this, and that's how the diseases come and all that. So the gross body, it says basically the gross body, which is composed of 7 dhatus, I am not. The 5 cognitive sense organs, meaning basically we don't have to go word by word in this for this question, but essentially this one says that all the sense organs I am not, meaning the ones that the Jnanendriyas also I am not, Karmendriyas also I am not. And I am not the prana either, the five pranas, prana, apana, vyana, dana, samana, I am not that either. Which perform, all these perform some functions, these 5 pranas, I am not them either. Then comes, boom, it hits the next one. It says, the mind which thinks, the mind which thinks, I am not the mind which thinks. Then finally, to close it up, it says the nasa and agyanam. Agyanam too, which is endowed only, I'll read this slowly, what's written in English, which is endowed only with residual impressions of objects, and in which there are no objects and no functionings. I am not. Let me see if I can get the Tamil for this. 1 second, I'll just open the Tamil part. Yeah. Ninaikindra manamum nanandru. The thinking mind also I am not. That is the word. Last part. Sarva vishayangalum, sarva toyilgalumatru, விஷயவாசனைகளுடன் மாத்திரம் பொருந்தி இருக்கும் அஜ்ஞானமும் நான் அன்று. I paused here a bit just so that we get an understanding from Bhagavan directly. What is this ajnanam? So Bhagavan is, I went to the Tamil because just to get the flow from the original. The flow from the original from the Sanskrit point of view is Sarva Vishayangalum, Sarva Toyilgalum, it starts with that. So that which is, whereas it is completely devoid of any object and any functioning, any activity, any work. Neither has any objects nor any functioning. Nothing is there in that. However, Vishaya Vasanaigaludan matrum purundi irukum. However, it only has the proclivities, which is the residual impressions of the objects. In the English translation, it's called residual impressions of the objects, meaning whatever, because of the past experiences of objects and our functioning, etc., there are some residual impressions which impel us to like something, not like something, do something, not do something. This is there in somewhere it's there. That where is it there? What is endowed with this? He says that which is endowed with this is called ajnanam. Yeah, I am not that also. So the first question answer is, who am I? He says, what I am not. That is the answer to the beginning answer, the first part of the answer to the question, who am I? Say, I am not all this. So all of us who are familiar with Upadesa Saram, we know it's exactly that he said, Vigraha, Indriya, Prana, Dhi, Tama. Vigraha, body, Indriya, organs, sense organs, Prana, pranas, Dhi is manas, mind, Tamas is Ajnana. Vigraha, Indriya, Prana, Dhi, Tama, Naham ekasa, Tad Jadam yasa. So the first question here is this: say what I am not, which is what we are. Most of it we think we are. Some we don't know. Like Ajnana, etc., we have no clue. The Bhagavan has his compassion saying even that you are not. If you think that in your heart of hearts, you think that I have certain, I have certain likes, dislikes, certain attractions, certain aversions, certain things I like to do, certain things I don't like to do, that defines me. He says, no, that I am not. That also I am not. So, which leads to the second question there, a nice question. If I am not none of these, then who am I? To which he replies, Bhagavan's answer is, after negating all of the above mentioned as not this, being neti, not this, that awareness, which alone remains, that I am. Tamil of that is, மேற்சொல்லிய யாவும் நான் அல்ல என்று நேதி செய்து தனித்து நிற்கும் அறிவே நான். Arive Nan, which in English has been translated as awareness. That awareness which alone remains is I, or that I am. Arivu, awareness, is the translation here. Certain terms of who am I are very, very much worth thinking about and internalizing and completely absorbing if possible. For the self, for example, Bhagavan is using certain terms here and there. I couldn't find the word Atma in Tamil there. Maybe it is there, I'm not sure. I'll check again. But he does use the word Tan, and Arivu. Arivu, in the English is translated as awareness. In the Hindi, who am I? They have translated it as Chaitanya, Shuddha Chaitanya. Shuddha Chaitanya. Pure consciousness. Awareness. I wonder if we can all go. There is a certain, I don't know, it's just my, I'm exploring, I'm wrong. Nandakumarji can throw light on that. I think a little bit of, there's intelligence, the word intelligence is also, I think somewhere I would like to get that aspect also into this translation of Arivu. Not brain, of course not. But there's a certain Chaitanyam. Chaitanyam is again, there's a certain shining consciousness, pure, shining consciousness. Consciousness means awareness. It is conscious. It is aware. It is intelligent. Therefore, intelligent is that you're intelligent about. So that's what I am, I suppose. No? This Arivu I am. This is where is the second question. What is the nature of awareness? Third question. The nature of awareness is existence, consciousness, bliss, says Bhagavan. The pure definition of of Brahman. Actually, Brahman is Swarupa Lakshanam of Brahman is Sat Chit Anand. In Tamil, Arivin Swarupa Satchitananda, Bhagavan said. Translated Sat Chit Anand. Just for our own understanding, little bit on this term. Normally, this word Sat is we will spend a little bit of time on that, in exploring that. The core of Bhagavan's teaching is Satar. Sat. Ulla Purul in Ulla Narpal. Existence, the normal translation is existence. Existence, consciousness, bliss, when we say, as a layman who is looking at this term, consciousness I understand, bliss I definitely understand, meaning to say happiness, that we all know. We don't know what the real bliss is, but we know happiness. Worldly happiness, we know happiness when we are happy. Consciousness, yes, I am conscious, I am aware, I am. Existence is what I am. That's a little bit, not that. It's got different the connotations there. So Sat is, from the point of view, if you look at it, Sanskrit-wise, Asti means exists. It exists. Satyam means it is the truth. It is the reality. It is real. It is the truth. And there is a inner, the masters have told us, those who the Jnanis have told us that it is not just exists, not just is that, it is eternally exists. Meaning, it is never, there is never a moment, it is never not there. There is an eternality to it. Not for a moment, it is not there. Anything which we think is Brahman is put to this test. Does it exist always? In fact, one word that there are other masters who use in translation for a Sat is not existence, they say being or living also in some sense, but being. But consciousness is added. Since it is conscious, it is also alive. And it is happiness itself. All this together defines what he is saying is that Arivu, that is the nature of the Brahman, is the other point. Huh? We'll take 2-3 minutes and then we will wind up today. We will see how. This is just a small, our own. We see before us a huge ocean of milk in which Lord Narayana is residing. In our childish exuberance, we take a small sip by his place. That's all we are trying to do. We don't know. Apara Satchit Sukhavari, which he is. What can we say? Nothing. So, coming back here, Sat we are talking about. There's an eternality. There's not even so the moment, the touchstone, the test for anything that you believe is Sat is Brahman is or is Atma is there any point in time when it is not there? If it is not there, then it does not qualify. It's a necessary rule which it has to pass if it has to be Sat. In that way only everything has been negated as not this, not this, not this, not this. That is why mind is not this. It is not. There are moments when the mind is not there. Deep sleep is not there like that. Ajnanam, not this. The very nature of Sat is Chit, which is Jnana, which is Ariv. So coming out of the nature of Ariv is Satchit Anandam. We will take 2 more questions and we'll stop. Fourth question, today we have 5 questions, right? So 4th question we'll do. When will the realization, suddenly the word coming here is realization of the self. In Tamil it is Urupa Darshan. Okay. Tamil வந்து அறிவின் சொரூபம் என்ன was the previous question. அறிவின் சொரூபம் சச்சிதானந்தம் was the answer. Swarupa darshanam எப்போது கிடைக்கும்? That is, how will I know? When will this knowledge of this nature of awareness be attained? That's the question. Okay? That's the question. Swarupam எந்த சொரூபம்? அறிவின் சொரூபம் தான். இங்கிலீஷ்ல வந்து கொஸ்டின்ல டிரான்ஸ்லேட் பண்ணிட்டு ஒரு ஸ்டெப் முன்னாடி போயிட்டா, when will the realization of the self be gained? Directly the kind of put two and two together and four, which is good, which is fine. I'm just kind of pointing out from just like that. Just since it came in front of the eyes. Right. Question is, when will the realization of self be gained? Answer is, when the world, which is what is seen, has been removed, there will be the realization of the self, which is the seer. It's clear? I mean, when the world, which is what is seen, is one word. What hyphen is hyphen seen in English. When the world, which is what is seen, has been removed, there will be realization of the self, which is the seer. Tamil வந்து சொரூப தர்சனம் எப்போது கிடைக்கும்? ஆன்சர், திருஷ்யமாகிய ஜகம் நீங்கிய விடத்து திருக்காய் சொரூப தர்சனம் உண்டாகும். If I were to translate it without seeing the English, it would be this jagat, which is drishya. Drishya is normal translation, seen. What we see, object that is seen, but that which is seen. Seen means not just seen, all the organs of perception. No? Each one of them sees actually. So you see through the nose means you smell. Everything is seen. That way, everything is cognized. So, drishyamagiya jagam. Anything which is an object. It may not be seen also. There is some far away, unseen galaxy or universe or whatever. We don't see it. But that's included in drishyamagiya jagam. Just, it is seeable. But somebody there can see. In sense, cognized. So anything is external to you, external to self is drishyam. There's another connotation with drishyam in Vedanta parlance. It is karyam, meaning it is an effect. It is not a cause. Anything which is drishyam is karyam. It is a product. It's an effect. We leave that aside for the time, just as an information. Drishyamagya jagam ningya vidattu drikkagya swarup. The point is, drikkagya swarupa darshanam undagum. Drikkagya swarupa darshanam undagum. In English translation, there will be realization of the self, which is the seer. I am only splitting hair on small thing here. The Tamil says drikkagya swarupa darshanam undagum. The emphasis, therefore, in that flow, from flow point of view, the emphasis is on the drik. Drikkagya. First, that is, how is the nature of the question is Swarupa Darshanam eppodu undagum? When will there be self-realization? When will it be attained, so to say? When will one realize the self? When will self-realization happen, is what it is. When what the world, what is seen, the effect, they see, it has been completely removed. Then the seer, which is actually the self, will be realized. This is the answer that Bhagavan is giving. Last one, simple, we'll end with that. Question is, will there not be realization of the self even while the world is there? Meaning taken as real, is in bracket. Tamil வந்து ஜகமுள்ள தோன்றுகின்ற bracket. ஜகமுள்ள போதே ஸ்வரூப தர்சனம் உண்டாகாதா? Will there not be realization of the self even when the world is there or taken to be real? Answer, உண்டாகாது. It won't happen. There will not be, is a translation. There will not be. We'll close here. Just to enter into this beautiful little booklet, which is a gem, pure Vedanta, just like that. With our little thing, we thought we'd just start that. I don't know. Thank you so much. Next one can continue. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Revati, over to you.
Namo Ramana. Thank you, Mama. A special thanks to you for sharing the manana on Who Am I. I would request Sri Nandakumar sir to continue with the session of reading and sharing of the book Forever is in the Now.
Namo Ramana. I agree with Kameshwarji when he says that the word that Tadithu Nirkum Arive, that Arivu can be called as intelligence itself. That's quite an appropriate suggestion for Manana. And of course, Nididhyasana will take us to the reality. We go ahead and continue our gleanings from the work Forever is in the Now, the timeless message of Sri Ramana Maharshi. This is a work edited and compiled by our founder president, Sri A.R. Natarajanji. We had been reading the article Down the Memory Lane by N.N. Rajan, and we had gone halfway through. N.N. Rajan, of course, is the author of Ramana Dhyanam and Bloom of Inner Glory. His leaves from the diary are being serialized in the Ramana way when this book was being composed. So, N.N. Rajan, the introduction is that we continue where we left off. The initial portion was on Mahapuja, Jayanti, and some group discussions. Here, the author is going to take us through some of his experiences with Bhagavan and some of his accounts on other devotees. We continue. Note general. When there were any important references, letters, press matters, or photocopies, the Sarvadhikari occasionally used to send them for Bhagavan's perusal through me. I would take the matter to the hall or the dining hall. I would handle the papers with all reverence and fear. I would be very cautious that my fingers should not come into contact with his fingers or any part of his body. On the other hand, Bhagavan would freely move his hands without hesitation. At times, his fingers would touch mine, and the palm also touched mine, while I was always careful to avoid actual contact out of reverence. Even though it would be a chance blessing, I would still have my fear. Where is my lowest position when compared to his supreme state? This chance contact would be thrilling to my whole frame. This chance contact would be thrilling to my whole physical frame through every pore. Unmindful of his divine status, he would act freely like this. It is really marvelous. His equal vision, which considered that no one was inferior to him. The second account. Once, after staying in the ashram, in the forenoon, I was about to start from there. Somehow, Bhagavan noticed that I was leaving hurriedly. After checking up that I had not taken my food, he at once called Rangarao, an inmate of the ashram, and asked him to serve food to me. Gladly taking Bhagavan's command as a blessing, I went in and took my meal. I was surprised at the pointed attention which Bhagavan bestowed on these things. I left the ashram with a deep sense of gratitude to Bhagavan. This overflowing compassion of Bhagavan was a special blessing to me. The third one, Bhagavan used to walk some distance after lunch. Generally, he would go to Palakotu by the path behind the ashram, unmindful of the hot midday sun. He would go barefooted and bareheaded. Sometimes he would cover his head with a small square towel. But that was secondary to him. He would walk through the small canal on the hot sand without hesitation. Due to scanty rain, the canal would be dry for most part of the year. He would go near the tank at Palakottu. Some of the resident devotees there would come out and talk to him. He may make some kind enquiries and talk to them freely. Palakottu, we can recall, is a place behind the ashram where some of the devotees, disciples who were seriously interested in the sadhana had put up their tents, put up their houses, and would be in constant sadhana. And Ramnath Brahmachari, for some time at least, was the Sarvadhikari, was the manager for the unofficial manager for that place. He would go near the tank at Palakottu. Some of the resident devotees there would come out and talk to him. He may make some kind enquiries and talk to them freely. Sometimes he would not mind entering the cottage of some devotee, but would very rarely speak to them. Those residents would be overjoyed. After some time, he would return by the same path and wash his feet before entering the hall. Is it not said that a jnani is unaffected by the pairs of opposites, heat and cold, pleasure and pain, etc.? Of course, he is referring to Bhagavan walking in the mid-afternoon sun on hot sand, and that too slowly and deliberately. The fourth article from here, the author is going to give some accounts on some devotees. Rangarao was a long time inmate of the ashram. He hailed from nearby Polur. He took an active part in serving the ashram. He attended to the kitchen work. He also worked in the stores and temple construction loyally. He extended full cooperation to this temple's tapati. He was deeply attached to the ashram and Bhagavan. He also practiced Ayurvedic and country medicines. Sometimes he would suggest some of these to Bhagavan. He had a strong will and attended to things with determination. Towards the end of his life, he suffered from cancer of the mouth. He went somewhere for treatment but was not completely cured. Somehow, since the ashram was very dear to him, he came back and served for some more time. The fifth one, Valandur Kalyanasudaram Iyer was a very staunch devotee of Bhagavan who made history. He used to come to the ashram regularly and knew the greatness of Bhagavan. He would be afraid to go near Bhagavan and would prostrate from a little distance. He was working as a station master at Valandur railway station near Madurai. Even while on duty, he would be absorbed in constant thought of Bhagavan, on constant thought of Ramana. One day, when he was on duty, between 7 p.m. and 8 p.m., he was overcome by an irresistible urge to visit Bhagavan. Should remember that this station is somewhere near Madurai, which is quite far from Tiruvannamalai. One day, when he was on duty, between 7 p.m. and 8 p.m., he was overcome by an irresistible urge to visit Bhagavan. A train was on the platform ready to start. Availing of this opportunity, he got into the train, deserting the station, unmindful of the consequences. His whole mind was on Ramana. Only a last grade pointsman was left alone in the station and nobody was there to take charge. This sensational news reached the headquarters and he was questioned by the official superiors and even the police at the Madurai station. He did not reply properly and kept repeating Ramana's name and insisted that he should go to the ashram to see him at once. The DMO also examined him, the district medical officer also examined him and found nothing wrong mentally. It was a high voltage devotional upsurge. It was a high voltage devotional upsurge. He refused to go back to his post. The officials sympathized with his state and put him safely on the train leaving for Tiruvannamalai. By this time, the news reached the ashram and everyone was wonderstruck. Bhagavan said nothing. Seeing the news item in Swadeshamitran, I met Iyer at the station and took him home for lunch. He was then escorted safely to the ashram. There he calmly prostrated to Bhagavan from a little distance and said nothing, though he remained praying inwardly. Bhagavan also said nothing but just smiled. He stayed at the ashram as usual. For the dereliction of duty, he was awarded the punishment of break of service. Out of sympathy, he was re-employed. But he remained in service only for a short time and then left it. He was in an advanced spiritual state. After premature retirement, he ran a small business for maintaining his family at Tiruvannamalai itself. That was Valandur Kalyana Sundaram Iyer. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. We'll now have the self-enquiry session by Sri Dileep Simha.
ध्यायेत् शारदचन्द्रसुन्दरमुखम् ताम्रारविन्देक्षणम् भक्ताभीष्टवराभयप्रदकरम् कौपीनमात्रोज्ज्वलम् स्वात्मानन्दरसानुभूतिविवशम् सर्वानवद्यङ्गकम् श्रीमन्तं श्रीरमणीश्वरं गुरुवरं योगासनाध्यासितं ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणीश्वरं ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणीश्वरम् ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणीश्वरम् हृदयकुहरमध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रं यहमहमिति साक्षातात्मरूपेण भाति हृदि विषमनसा स्वं चिन्वतामज्जतव पवनचलनरोधा आत्मनिष्ठो भवत्वम्. We will commence today's Atma Vicharam by meditating upon Bhagavan's Upadesham. I'll be reading from the book Guru Vachaka Kovai from the chapter Meditation on the Truth. The topic is the birth of misery. Verse 631. For a bird flying in the vast sky, no permanent resting place exists except on the ground. Likewise, the embodied jiva that has arisen out of the reality that is being will assuredly not be held back by any obstacle until it returns back to and merges into that being. I repeat the verse. For a bird flying in the vast sky, no permanent resting place exists except on the ground. Likewise, the embodied jiva that has arisen out of the reality that is being will assuredly not be held back by any obstacle until it returns back to and merges into that being. Here, the pure self, the being consciousness, the being awareness, bliss, from that a proclivity, an imagination called the individual notion, limiting the consciousness to this gross body and identifying with it the name and the form, is the bird, the first entity or the first division that occurs in the pure self. That bird has actually arisen out of that pure being consciousness, pure being awareness. But because it has limited itself to the body and the name, and it now flies in the mind space. The mind space, as Kameshwarji read out, is full of impressions. All the experiences are stored in the form of impressions there as vasanas. It flies in that space continuously until it becomes tired, and when it merges back in the self, then it lands at the source from which it had arisen. That Bhagavan here says, no matter how many obstacles may come, but nothing can stop it from getting back to its source. That is the assurance Bhagavan gives here. The bird cannot be permanently flying. It has to come back to the rest. So, it is clear that the bird, the individual notion, the first and the foremost division in the undivided self, is a phantom entity which will vanish only when we inquire. If we don't inquire about it, it appears to be real because the reality, the ever-present self, as it was told to us, is attending to it. And therefore, it continues to appear to be real, the bird, unless it is inquired. Therefore, Bhagavan here asks that bird which continuously flies, holding on thoughts. Therefore, he asks us to inquire to whom is that thought. And the moment we inquire, the answer would come, it is for me. Then the first and the foremost division becomes available for the vichara, becomes available for the inquiry. And when we further inquire, who am I? What do I really refer to as I within me? When we search the source of the I, then the division, the whole of it, the bird and the space in which it is flying, and on all the objects and everything that is there, is absorbed back into the self with the inquiry of who am I. With repeated practice, Bhagavan assures that the mind will gain enough strength to remain at the source. At first, we may not be aware that it is being absorbed into the self, but with repeated practice, it becomes more and more effortlessly possible to abide in that pure self, which is free of all objects here and now, which is the pure subject alone. So Bhagavan, with the Atma Vichara, not only brings ekagrata, not only brings the distraction which are in the form of objects back to the single most entity called the I, ekagrata. Further, he takes it and absorbs it, puts it back into the source, to the self. He gives the abidance of the truth with the inquiry, who am I? And therefore is the abundant grace of Bhagavan, which has come in the form of the question, who am I, for all of us. With his abundant grace, for the next 10 minutes, no matter how many thoughts come, no matter whatever is the nature of those thoughts, good, bad, ugly, even spiritual, we should diligently inquire to whom is this. Then the first and the foremost division, I, becomes available for inquiry because the thought is for me. And then further when we inquire, who am I? And trace the I thought back to the source, or inquire to what do we refer to as I within. Then the mind is absorbed into the source. The immense grace of Bhagavan for the next 10 minutes, let us do Atma Vichara.
will now have the presentations of Ramana Sangeetham by Srimati V. Radha and one more song by Savithri Krishnan and Sri Jaisriram Krishnan.
Namo Ramana to all. Today we will be presenting a song written by Sri Sadhon Swami and the music is by Sri L. Krishnan. Sorry, the music is by Srimati Sulochana Natarajan. I'm sorry. ஆலடியானும் மால்வடிவோனும் அவனே ஸ்ரீரமணன் ஆலடியானும் மால்வடிவோனும் அவனே ஸ்ரீரமணன் வேலுடையானும் வேதவனும் அவனே ஸ்ரீரமணன் வேலுடையானும் வேதவனும் அவனே ஸ்ரீரமணன் ஆலடியானும் மால்வடிவோனும் அவனே ஸ்ரீரமணன் வேலுடையானும் வேதவனும் அவனே ஸ்ரீரமணன் இதுபோல் குருவாய் புருமோ தவம் ஏது புரிந்தாலும் இதுபோல் இனிவாய் புருமோ உலகேழில் அலைந்தாலும் இதுபோல் குருவாய் புருமோ தவம் ஏது புரிந்தாலும் இதுபோல் இனிவாய் புருமோ உலகேழில் அலைந்தாலும் புவனியெல்லாம் தோழும் ஸ்ரீரமணன் புவனமெல்லாம் தோழும் ஸ்ரீரமணன் புவனமா குரு ஸ்ரீரமணன் புவனியெல்லாம் தோழும் ஸ்ரீரமணன் புவனமெல்லாம் தோழும் ஸ்ரீரமணன் புவனமா குரு ஸ்ரீரமணன் புவனமா குரு ஸ்ரீரமணன் ஆலடியானும் மால்வடிவோனும் அவனே ஸ்ரீரமணன் வேலுடையானும் வேதவனும் அவனே ஸ்ரீரமணன் உலகெல்லாம் ஒன்றாய் பிணைத்து விட்டான் உயிர்களை தாமா அழைத்து விட்டான் அலையில் அருளால் நனைத்து விட்டான் அருணாச்சலத்தோடு இணைத்து விட்டான் உலகெல்லாம் ஒன்றாய் பிணைத்து விட்டான் உயிர்களை தாமா அணைத்து விட்டான் அழகில் அருளால் நனைத்து விட்டான் அருணாச்சலத்தோடு இணைத்து விட்டான் அருணாச்சலத்தோடு இணைத்து விட்டான் புவனியெல்லாம் தோழும் ஸ்ரீரமணன் புவனமெல்லாம் தோழும் ஸ்ரீரமணன் புவனமா குரு ஸ்ரீரமணன் புவனியெல்லாம் தோழும் ஸ்ரீரமணன் புவனமெல்லாம் தோழும் ஸ்ரீரமணன் புவனமா குரு ஸ்ரீரமணன் புவனமா குரு ஸ்ரீரமணன் ஆலடியானும் மால்வடிவோனும் அவனே ஸ்ரீரமணன் வேலுடையானும் வேதவனும் அவனே ஸ்ரீரமணன் ஆலடியானும் மால்வடிவோனும் அவனே ஸ்ரீரமணன் வேலுடையானும் வேதவனும் அவனே ஸ்ரீரமணன் ஸ்ரீரமணன் ஸ்ரீரமணன்.
ದೈವದೊಲುಮೆಯೇ ಹರಿಸಿ ಬಂದ ನೀ ದಯಾಮೂರ್ತಿ ರಮಣ ಕೈವಲ್ಯದ ಸಿರಿ ಕನಸನು ಮನಸ್ಸಿಗೆ ಹೊಳೆಸಿದ ಶ್ರೀಚರಣ ಹೊಳೆಸಿದ ಶ್ರೀಚರಣ ದೈವದೊಲುಮೆಯೇ ಹರಿಸಿ ಬಂದ ನೀ ದಯಾಮೂರ್ತಿ ರಮಣ ಕೈವಲ್ಯದ ಸಿರಿ ಕನಸನು ಮನಸ್ಸಿಗೆ ಹೊಳೆಸಿದ ಶ್ರೀಚರಣ ಹೊಳೆಸಿದ ಶ್ರೀಚರಣ ದೈವದೊಲುಮೆಯೇ ಹರಿಸಿ ಬಂದನಿ ದಯಾಮೂರ್ತಿ ರಮಣ ಮಾಯೆಯ ಚಲುವಿಗೆ ಮರುಳಾಗಿದ್ದೆವು ನಿಜವೆಂದೇ ಭ್ರಮಿಸಿ ಜೀವದ ಬಂಧನ ಕಳೆದೆವು ಸುಳ್ಳಿನ ಹೊರಮೆರಗನು ಬರಿಸಿ ಮಾಯೆಯ ಚೆಲುವಿಗೆ ಮರುಳಾಗಿದ್ದೆವು ನಿಜೆಯೆಂದೇ ಭ್ರಮಿಸಿ ಜೀವದ ಬಂಧನ ಕಳೆದೆವು ಸುಳ್ಳಿನ ಹೊರಮೆರಗನು ವರಿಸಿ ನರಕದ ಬಾಗಿಲನು ಕೂತಲಿದ್ದೆವು ಒಳಹೋಗಲು ಬಯಸಿ ನರಕದ ಬಾಗಿಲನು ಕೂತಲಿದ್ದೆವು ಒಳಹೋಗಲು ಬಯಸಿ ಯಾರೋ ನುಡಿದಂತಾಯಿತು ದನಿಯಲಿ ಯಾರೋ ನುಡಿದಂತಾಯಿತು ದನಿಯಲಿ ಪ್ರೀತಿ ಕರುಣೆ ಹರಿಸಿ ಪ್ರೀತಿ ಕರುಣೆ ಹರಿಸಿ ದೈವದೊಲುಮೆಯೇ ಕಲಿಸಿ ಬಂದನಿ ದಯಾಮೂರ್ತಿ ರಮಣ ಕೈವಲ್ಯದ ಸಿರಿ ಕನಸನು ಮನಸ್ಸಿಗೆ ಹೊಳೆಸಿದ ಶ್ರೀ ಚರಣ ಹೊಳೆಸಿದ ಶ್ರೀ ಚರಣ ದೈವದೊಲುಮೆಯೇ ಕಲಿಸಿ ಬಂದನಿ ದಯಾಮೂರ್ತಿ ರಮಣ ಯಾರು ಕರೆಯದೆ ಯಾರು ಅರಿಯದೆ ನೇರ ಬಂದ ಒಳಗೆ ಸೂರ್ಯ ಮಾಡಿದನು ಕಣ್ಣ ಕಾಂತಿಯಲೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸ್ನೇಹ ಸಲಿಗೆ ಯಾರು ಕರೆಯದೆ ಯಾರು ಅರಿಯದೆ ನೇರ ಬಂದ ಒಳಗೆ ಸೂರ್ಯ ಮಾಡಿದನು ಕಣ್ಣ ಕಾಂತಿಯಲೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸ್ನೇಹ ಸಲಿಗೆ ಭಾವದ ಮಿಲನವೇ ಸಾಕಾಗಿರಲು ಬೇರೆ ಮಾತು ಬೇಕೆ ಭಾವದ ಮಿಲನವೇ ಸಾಕಾಗಿರಲು ಬೇರೆ ಮಾತು ಬೇಕೆ ಸೋತು ಶರಣಾಗಿ ಕಾಣಿಕೆಯಾದೆವು ಸೋತು ಶರಣಾಗಿ ಕಾಣಿಕೆಯಾದೆವು ಸೋತು ಶರಣಾಗಿ ಕಾಣಿಕೆಯಾದೆವು ಅವನ ದಿವ್ಯ ಪದಕ್ಕೆ ಅವನ ದಿವ್ಯ ಪದಕ್ಕೆ ದೈವದೊಲುಮೆಯೇ ಕಲಿಸಿ ಬಂದನಿ ದಯಾಮೂರ್ತಿ ರಮಣ ಕೈವಲ್ಯದ ಸಿರಿ ಕನಸನು ಮನಸ್ಸಿಗೆ ಹೊಳೆಸಿದ ಶ್ರೀ ಚರಣ ಹೊಳೆಸಿದ ಶ್ರೀ ಚರಣ ದೈವದೊಲುಮೆಯೇ ಕಲಿಸಿ ಬಂದನಿ ದಯಾಮೂರ್ತಿ ರಮಣ ದೈವದೊಲುಮೆಯೇ ಕಲಿಸಿ ಬಂದನಿ ದಯಾಮೂರ್ತಿ ರಮಣ ದಯಾಮೂರ್ತಿ ರಮಣ. ಓಂ ನಮೋ ಭಗವತೆ ಶ್ರೀರಾಮಾಯ.
Namo Ramana. We'll now have the sharing of Ramana Chatvarimshat by Sri Ujwal Jagadeesh.
ओम नमो भगवते श्रीरमणाय. वैराग्यं तव वित्तमस्तु करुणां शक्नोषि हातुं कथं दूषस्तेस्तु समुद्यम पितृपद ध्यानं च किं तादृशम् कामस्तेस्तु विगर्हितो विनमतां रक्षा च किं गर्हिता स्कन्दचग्म मनुष्य किं नु समयं कञ्चेत् समुद्वीक्षसे रमणाय लोकगुरवे नमः. रमणाय लोकगुरवे नमः. वैराग्ಯ ನಿನನಿಧಿಯಾಗಿರಲಿ ಕರುಣೆಯ ತೋರೆವುದು ಸರಿಯೇ ನಿಂದಿಸಲರ್ಹವಾಗಿರಲಿ ಸ್ವಯಂ ಯತ್ನವು ತಂದೆ ಅಡಿ ಧ್ಯಾನ ಹಾಗಿರಲು ಸಾಧ್ಯವೇ ಕಾಮವು ತಿರಸ್ಕರಿಸಲರ್ಹವು ಭಕ್ತಿ रक्षणे तिरस्करिसಬಹುದೇ मनुष्य छद्मधर स्कंदने ಯಾವ ಸುಸಮಯಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾದಿರುವೆ ರಮಣನಿಗೆ ಲೋಕ ಗುರುವಿಗೆ ನಮನ ರಮಣನಿಗೆ ಲೋಕ ಗುರುವಿಗೆ ನಮನ. We have been meditating on the Ramana Chatvarimshat written by Ganapati Muni, and these verses written by Ganapati Muni were compiled and was titled Ramana Chatvarimshat by Bhagavan Ramana himself. And in this verse of Ramana Chatvarimshat, Ganapati Muni, he dons the role of every devotee, every true seeker, and he is calling out for that skanda, the one who has to come in the human form, in the form of a teacher, to protect the world, to come quickly. And he is asking and questioning him, why are you delaying it? Are you waiting for some good time to come? Is this not the right time for you to come? And he gives various examples. You are the one who is known for your dispassion, vairagya. Yet, do you have to have vairagya towards your devotees, to show karuna towards your devotees? They say that if somebody is doing some effort to attain something that has some blameworthy, but if one is searching for your lotus feet, O Father, is that also blameworthy? They say desire is very, very bad to have. Desire only causes sorrow. But shouldn't you have the desire, being the Lord, shouldn't you have a desire to protect your devotees? So this is the right time for you, Ramana. Quickly come and show your compassion to us, says Ganapati Muni. And talking about desires, Ramana has shown us that the desire alone is the cause of us not turning within and understanding our own true nature as bliss. The desires which appear as various thoughts, it is veiling us from our own true nature, which is eternal bliss, which does not have to be attained from outside, from achieving anything. And in Ramana's life, we see that to his devotees, beautifully he has shown how the desire has to be given up. When T.N. Venkatraman, the president of Ramanashramam, when he was a little boy, Venkatu, he was in and around the Ramanashramam at that time, at the Skandashramam. He was with Ramana, and in the presence of Mother Alagammal and Ramana, he grew. And once a devotee had brought nice burfis from Bombay, and those burfis were so tasty, and as the tradition at Ramana's presence, whatever was brought to ashram, it was equally divided into small pieces, and all the devotees who were around, including the little Venkatu, got their share of this burfi. And little Venkatu ate this burfi and he felt it was very, very tasty, and he wanted one more piece of this burfi. So when he was seeing here and there to see whether he could get one more piece of it, there in the corner in the Skandashram, he saw a plate where a small piece of that very same tasty burfi was kept. And when little Venkatu was slowly moving towards that burfi and was about to touch the plate to take that piece of burfi, a monkey appeared, and that monkey hit Venkatu on his cheeks. That monkey was none other than the Nundi monkey, the favorite monkey who was there in the presence of Ramana. And Venkatu started crying loudly, and all the devotees gathered around Venkatu and found out what had happened. And they all started complaining. We are going to tell Bhagavan about the naughtiness of this monkey. This monkey has hit this little boy Venkatu, and there was a lot of commotion. And hearing to this commotion, Ramana, who had gone up the hill, came down to Skandashram and inquired what happened. And all the devotees told what had happened. And Ramana, who loves everyone equally, his Jagadeeshwari Shastri says, Ramana has a samadrishti starting from Brahma Kitanta Samam Prapadhe. He has the samadrishti starting from Brahma to one small insect. Such was the samabhava of Bhagavan Ramana. And he asked, Dondi would simply not beat anyone or hurt anyone. Venkatu, what did you do? And Venkatu slowly revealed the secret that he had stretched his hand to take the piece of sweet which was there on the plate. And Ramana told, don't you know that is the share of Nundi the monkey? Didn't you get your share? It is not right thing to desire for others' share. Be happy with what you get. Accept it as prasadam and enjoy it, and do not desire for anything more, was the Upadesha that was given by Bhagavan Ramana to that little boy Venkatu. And that little boy Venkatu, who grew up to become the president of Ramanashram, this was the only mantra that he had. He was happy with what was provided to him, and he never desired for anything more. Such was the mantra of holding on to desirelessness which Ramana gave to Venkatu. And to Venkatu's better half, Nagalakshmi, also Nagumami, the similar Upadesha was given. Nagumami, at the time of Ramanashramam days, a devotee from Chennai had come, and that devotee was wearing a very beautiful sari. And Nagumami went to her and just complimented, the sari that you are wearing is very, very beautiful. And soon, after a few days, the devotee reached Chennai, and she sent two, specially the same kind of two saris to Ramanashramam with a note saying that this is for Nagalakshmi. And whatever post came to Ramanashramam, Ramana had the first look at it, and then it was distributed to the concerned persons. So that parcel which came from Chennai came to the notice of Bhagavan Ramana, and he called Nagumami and gave that sari to her and told, Nagu, next time if you find something very, very beautiful, think that is already yours. And Nagumami is perplexed. She is telling, I didn't even desire for this sari. I didn't even ask for this sari. They, on their own accord, they have sent this to me. I only complimented, saying that that sari was very, very beautiful. So Ramana told, I'm telling you once again, with a stern voice, he told, if you find something very, very beautiful, think it is already yours. And such was the Upadesha, and she was very, very disappointed, and she came to the mamis who were there in the kitchen, and she cried to them. And then later in her life, she understood that this was the Upadesham that was given by Bhagavan Ramana, that whatever we desire, what are we actually desiring for? If we are desiring for a sari, or if we are desiring for a sweet, we are only desiring the happiness, which is the true goal that we want to attain. We don't want to hold on to a sari or a sweet, because the happiness that we get from that is only fleeting. What we are desiring is the eternal happiness. And Ramana, through his Upadesha, says, you don't have to desire anything at all, because what you are desiring, you already are. Your nature is that of that limitless bliss. understand this truth, then you will understand there is no need of any desire. But Ganapati Muni is telling desire is not good, but to have a desire to protect your devotees, is that also not good? Ramana is the compassionate one. Kunju Swami, when he had to leave to his hometown, he had money enough only to buy a ticket. Ramana, on that day's breakfast, there was puri which was brought, puri with the potato sabji which was brought to the Skandashram. So Ramana, he told the person who was serving to serve more, 5 or 6 puris. And usually Ramana would never demand for more serving. But the devotee did not question Bhagavan, and he kept few more puris, extra puris on the plate of Ramana. And Ramana, after all the puri was served, he packed those puris and gave it to Kunju Swami. And Kunju Swami, it says that I did not have even one extra penny to buy any food because I had exact money to go to my house. The compassion of Ramana was such that he takes care of the devotees in such a magnificent way. And we hear of Cow Lakshmi's story also. Cow Lakshmi, who was fond of idlis. But that day, the idli was over. And for the second pankti, the second round of breakfast, the upma was made and served. And then when Lakshmi came, she had to be served with idlis, but the idlis was not there. Then soon Ramana remembered, okay, there is one box of idlis which is kept for one special attendant who stays back for night shift work. So his breakfast would have been kept, the idlis would have been kept. So you please give those idlis to Lakshmi, and you can keep upma in the place of that person's box so that he can have upma later when he wakes up. Such was the love of Bhagavan Ramana that he cared for little desires and the well-being of his devotees. His compassion is beyond our own little desires and their fulfillment. So to show us the truth that when we abide in our own true nature, which is eternal bliss, then we are taken care. When we are taken care, all our little desires also are taken care. And in one of our kritis, Dr. Sarada sings of Ramana as that Kamakshi who fulfills all desires and who just roots out the very source of all desires. To that Ramana we salute and we pray to him to bestow his compassion to all of us. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. We will now have the sharing of Manana on Ramana Ashtottaram by Dr. Sarada.
Namo Ramana. Prostrations to Ramana, shining as the self in all beings. By the immense grace of the self manifest as Ramana, we are meditating on Vishwanatha Swami's Ramana Ashtottaram, which is also the not only being 108 names of Bhagavan, but also the biography of Bhagavan being recorded over there in these 108 names. And we are meditating on some very beautiful namas. All are very beautiful, but these namas are typically biographical, and we are meditating on the nama Om Pitrapadan Veshine Namaha Pituradeshataha Shona Shailam Praptaya Namaha. Pitrapadan Veshi. He was searching, he who searched for the feet of his father, his divine father Arunachala, or for the state of his divine father Arunachala, and having searched, having journeyed, Pituradeshataha, how did he undertake this journey? In accordance to the father's command, Pitur Adeshataha, in accordance to the father's command, Shona Shailam Praptaya Namaha, he attained Arunachala. Praptaha, he reached or attained Arunachala. He attained the place. He reached the place. Where did he reach? Shona Shailam. Why did he go there? Pituradeshataha. Because of the command of Arunachala. பெயர் நினைத்திடவே பிடித்திழுத்தனை உன் பெருமை யார் அறிவார் அருணாச்சலா. Bhagavan writes in Aksharamanamalai, the moment I thought of your name, you dragged me to yourself. You literally pulled me. Like an iron filing is drawn to a magnet. Like that, you literally pidithu iluttanai. You captured me and you pulled me to yourself. You drew me to yourself. You actually pulled, iluthu. So, Bhagavan is saying, I was pulled to his feet. So the Adesha, what pulled him there? The command of the Father. Where did Bhagavan see the command? Bhagavan perceived the command in the words of his elder brother. The elder brother said, of what use is all this in the house to such a one? Of what use is all this to such a one? And that Bhagavan, the young boy Venkatraman, 16 years old, he saw it as the command from Arunachala. Come to me. Come. That was the command. And so, Pituradeshataha Shona Shailam Praptaya Namah. So, when Bhagavan reached Arunachala, he went into the Arunachaleshwara temple. It is said it was noon time. Noon time, the temple is normally closed. So there won't be anybody around the temple area. No one will be there. Maybe outside in the shops. Around the temple there will be shops. Around the temple there will be the Agrahara, which is in those days also the staying of the priests and all that. So there are people. It's not a major temple in a major temple town. The temple is always the center, the fulcrum around which all activities happen. But the former president about whom Ujwal was speaking, T.N. Venkatraman, who was the young Venkutu brought up for a long period by Bhagavan himself. Bhagavan himself has brushed his teeth and bathed him and all that, nursed by him, taken care of by him. So that T.N. Venkatraman would say in the Tiruvannamalaiல மத்தியானம் 12 மணிலேருந்து 2 மணி வரைக்கும் கொசு கூட தூங்குமா. He would say that from 12 noon till 2 o'clock in the afternoon in Tiruvannamalai, even the flies and the mosquitoes will also go to sleep. The mosquitoes usually prey on those who are sleeping. But in the afternoon, they too will go off to sleep, he used to say. Such is the heat and such is the drowsiness that it provides. So one can imagine that in those days, at 12 noon, when Bhagavan arrived, everyone, the whole town was practically drowsy or sleeping. But the temple doors should have been closed. What does it say? Historically, they say that, you see, in the temple, they were making an assessment or a stock taking or checking of the temple jewels. The gods and goddesses have jewels. So they were all verification was happening, audit was happening for the temple jewels. But if that is the case, the temple doors should be locked from inside. And there should be somebody near the Garbhagriha, somewhere where the audit is taking place. But Bhagavan reports not a single soul was around. Not a single soul was around. From taking the poetic license, we are used to seeing mythological films where when devotees come to Vaikuntha, then the doors of Vaikuntha just open one after the other, letting the devotee in. And that is how we had envisioned the arrival of Bhagavan. Some devotees say that that is what happened. They say that is what happened. Actually, Bhagavan would live like Sri Ramachandra. Sri Ramachandra Murti is supposed to have said, Aham Manusham Manye. I am just a human being. I am not divine. Because he wanted to show the way in which a perfect human life should be led. So he would not acknowledge his own divinity. And Bhagavan was very much like that. He would never acknowledge his own divinity. Very rare instances are there that people would be able to catch a glimpse of his divinity. And there is a very beautiful composition of Purandaradasa where he says, Alli nodalu Rama, illi nodalu Rama, ee vele naranagi irabaradendeniси. Deva Ramachandra Jagavella Tanada. It seems Sri Ramachandra, he thought, oh, in this battle, if I continue to be manifest as a human being, it would not be appropriate. So he became the entire universe, manifest universe, everything. Here also Rama was seen, there also Rama was seen. The Rakshasas were Rama, the Vanaras were Rama, everything was Rama. So it is not good for me to appear to be a human being or retain my human limitations. Like that, Bhagavan was very shy. All the devotees, the great ones say, Bhagavan was very shy. He would not express even the least bit of his knowledgeability, his own superiority in any way. So he would not have revealed that actually the doors of the temple opened out for him. They opened out for him and he went straight to the inner sanctum sanctorum of Arunachaleshwara and he embraced Arunachaleshwara and said, Father, I have come. Many commentators, many people talking about Bhagavan's life say, he said, from now on, it is your will, unnishtam, ennishtam. But in Bhagavan's biographies, we hear that he simply said, Father, I have come. I have come. Meaning to say, you called me, I have come. Why should he say, Father, I have come? It is because I am reporting to you. You said, come. Yes, I have come. That is why Pitur Adeshataha Shona Shailam Praptaya Namavi. It was as per your command. You commanded me, come here, and I have come. Further, whatever you command, whatever you will, let that happen. Because as per your command, I have reached. Nothing further for me to do. I have fulfilled your command, Bhagavan said. So, very beautifully, Vishwanatha Swami says, Pitur Adeshataha Shona Shailam Praptaya Namaha. What a magnificent journey. What a glorious union that is. And at that moment, Bhagavan says, the fever that was burning in him from the moment of his enlightenment just cooled. It is like Bhagavan says, Chittam kulira kadirastam vaita amudavayaitira arunachala. Just let the floodgates of bliss be opened so that the mind becomes cool. That's ambrosia. It is absolutely cool. Such was the divine union of Father and Son. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramana.
Namo Ramana. We will now have the chanting of Aksharamanamalai by Srimati Radha, V. Radha and Vallabh.
Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala, அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா. மொட்டையடித்தென்னை வெட்ட வெளியில் நீ நட்டமாடின என் அருணாச்சலா. மோகம் தவிர்த்தும் உன் மோகம் வைத்தும் என் மோகம் தீராயன் அருணாச்சலா. மௌனியகோல் மலராதிருந்தால் மௌனவிதாமோ அருணாச்சலா. எவனின் வாயின் மண்ணினையட்டி என் பிழை பொழித்த அருணாச்சலா. யாரும் அறியாதன் மதியினை மறட்டி எவர் கொள்ளை கொண்ட அருணாச்சலா. ரமணன் என்று உரைத்தேன் ரோஷம் கொள்ளாதெனை ரமித்திட செய்யவா அருணாச்சலா. ராப்பகலில்லா வெறு வெளி வீட்டில் ரமித்திடுவோம் வா அருணாச்சலா. லட்சியம் வைத்தருள் அஸ்திரம் விட்டென்னை பக்ஷித்த பிராணனோட அருணாச்சலா. லாப நீக பர லாபமில் என்னை யுற்று லாபம் என்றுற்றனை அருணாச்சலா. வரும்படி சொல்லை வந்தென் படியள வருந்திடும் தலை விதி அருணாச்சலா. வாவென்றாம் புக்கும் வாழ்வருள் அன்று என் வாழ்விழுந்தேன் அருள் அருணாச்சலா. விட்டிடு கஷ்டமா விட்டிடாதுனை உயிர் விட்டிட அருள் புரி அருணாச்சலா. அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ 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 அருணாச்சலா. அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா. அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா. அருணாச்சலம் வாழி அன்பர்களும் வாழி. அக்ஷரமணமாலை வாழி. நமோ ரமணா.
Namo Ramana. We'll conclude today's satsang with the Ashtottara puja to Bhagavan at Sri Dileep Simha's altar. The Ashtottaram will be chanted by Revati Shankar and Uma Shripati and Ashwini Balaji. भारद्वाज विश्वनाथ विरचितं श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तरशतनामावली. अपार सच्चित्सुखवारिराशेः यस्योर्मिमात्रं भुवनं समस्तं. गुहाहितं तं रमणं गभीरं चिन्ताविहीनं हृदि चिन्तयामि. ॐ महासेनमहोंशेन जाताय नमः. ॐ श्रीरमणाय नमः. ॐ गुरवे नमः. ॐ अखण्डसंविदाकाराय नमः. ॐ महौजसे नमः. ॐ कारणोद्भवाय नमः. ॐ जगद्हितावताराय नमः. ॐ श्रीभूमिनाथस्थलोत्थिताय नमः. ॐ पराशरकुलोत्तंसाय नमः. ॐ सुन्दरार्यतपःफलाय नमः. ॐ कमनीयसुचारित्राय नमः. ॐ सहायाम्बा सहायवते नमः. ॐ शोणाचलमहोलीनमानसाय नमः. ॐ स्वर्णहस्तकाय नमः. ॐ श्रीमद्द्वादशान्तमहास्थले लब्धविद्योदयाय नमः। ॐ महाशक्तिनिपातेन प्रबुद्धाय नमः। ॐ परमार्थविदे नमः। ॐ तीव्राय नमः। ॐ पितृपदान्वेषिणे नमः। ॐ इन्दुमौलिना पितृमते नमः। ॐ पितुरादेशतः शोणशैलं प्राप्ताय नमः। ॐ तपोमयाय नमः। ॐ उदासीनाय नमः। ॐ महायोगिने नमः। ॐ महोत्साहाय नमः। ॐ कुशाग्रधिये नमः। ॐ शान्तसङ्कल्पसंरम्भाय नमः। ॐ सुसन्दृशे नमः। ॐ सवित्रे नमः। ॐ स्थिराय नमः। ॐ तपःक्षपितसर्वाङ्गाय नमः। ॐ पुल्लाम्बुजविलोचनाय नमः। ॐ चन्द्रिकासितहासश्रीमण्डिताननमण्डलाय नमः। ॐ चूतवाट्यां समासीनाय नमः। ॐ चूर्णिताखिलविभ्रमाय नमः। ॐ वेदवेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञाय नमः। ॐ चिन्मुद्रिणे नमः। ॐ त्रिगुणातिगाय नमः। ॐ विरूपाक्षगुहावासाय नमः। ॐ विराजदचलाकृतये नमः। ॐ उद्दीप्तनयनाय नमः। ॐ पूर्णाय नमः। ॐ रचिताचलताण्डवाय नमः। ॐ गम्भीराय नमः। ॐ परमाचार्याय नमः। ॐ सुप्रसन्नाय नमः। ॐ अभयप्रदाय नमः। ॐ दक्षिणास्य निभाय नमः। ॐ धीराय नमः। ॐ दक्षिणाभिमुखाय नमः। ॐ स्वराजे नमः। ॐ महर्षये नमः। ॐ भगवते नमः। ॐ ईड्याय नमः।
ॐ भूमविद्याविशारदाय नमः। ॐ विमलाय नमः। ॐ दीर्घदर्शिने नमः। ॐ आप्ताय नमः। ॐ ऋजुमार्गप्रदर्शकाय नमः। ॐ समदृशे नमः। ॐ सत्यदृशे नमः। ॐ सत्याय नमः। ॐ प्रशान्ताय नमः। ॐ अमितविक्रमाय नमः। ॐ सुकुमाराय नमः। ॐ सदानन्दाय नमः। ॐ मृदुभाषिणे नमः। ॐ दयार्णवाय नमः। ॐ श्रीशोणाचलहृद्भूतस्कन्दाश्रमनिकेतनाय नमः। ॐ सद्दर्शनोपदेष्ट्रे नमः। ॐ सद्भक्तवृन्दपरिवृताय नमः। ॐ गणेशमुनिभृङ्गेन सेविताङ्घ्रिसरोरुहाय नमः। ॐ गीतोपदेशसारादिग्रन्थसञ्चिन्नसंशयाय नमः। ॐ वर्णाश्रममतातीताय नमः। ॐ रसज्ञाय नमः। ॐ सौम्याय नमः। ॐ आत्मवते नमः। ॐ सर्वावनिमतस्थानाम् आराध्याय नमः। ॐ सर्वसद्गुणिने नमः। ॐ आत्मारामाय नमः। ॐ महाभागाय नमः। ॐ मातृमुक्तिविदायकाय नमः। ॐ विनताय नमः। ॐ विनुताय नमः। ॐ विप्राय नमः। ॐ मुनीन्द्राय नमः। ॐ पावकोज्ज्वलाय नमः। ॐ दर्शनाधगसंहारिणे नमः। ॐ मौनेन स्वात्मबोधकाय नमः। ॐ मृच्छान्तिकरसान्निध्याय नमः। ॐ स्मरणाद्बन्धमोचकाय नमः। ॐ अन्तस्तिमिरचण्डांशवे नमः। ॐ संसारार्णवतारकाय नमः। ॐ शोणाद्रीशस्तुतिद्रष्टे नमः। ॐ हार्दविद्याप्रकाशकाय नमः। ॐ अविच्युतनिजप्रज्ञाय नमः। ॐ नैसर्गिक कारुणिकमहातपसे नमः। ॐ कमण्डलुधराय नमः। ॐ शुभ्रकौपीनवसनाय नमः। ॐ गुहाय नमः। ॐ दण्डपाणये नमः। ॐ कृपापूर्णाय नमः। ॐ भवरोगविषग्वराय नमः। ॐ स्कन्दाय नमः। ॐ देवतमाय नमः। ॐ अमर्त्याय नमः। ॐ सेनान्ये नमः। ॐ पुरुषोत्तमाय नमः।
ॐ श्रीरमण भगवते नमः। श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तरशतनामपूजां समर्पयामि। यस्थाणोररुणाचलस्य पदयोः स्मृत्या जनिं प्राप्यत दिव्यानुग्रहसुप्रवाहविवशस्तादात्म्यभावं गतः ऋन्निष्ठस्वगभीरनित्यतपसा लोकान् पुनास्येकराट् तस्मै श्रीरमणाय ते नम इदं लोकोत्तरज्योतिषे। नमो 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 रमण सदाशिवप्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि दर्शनसुखमङ्गलमुख सकलजीवहितसम्मुख ब्रह्मसङ्घिये सदा तुष्ट सदा हृष्ट सदा शिवानन्दपुष्ट परममहर्षि ब्रह्मनिष्ठ समदर्शी नमो 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 रमण सदाशिवप्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि ನಮ್ಮ ಮನವದೊಂದು ಕಾಡು ನೀನರಿತಿಹೆ ಅದರ ಜಾಡು ಹಿತವನರಿತು ನೀಡು ತೆಮ್ಮ ಕೊರೆಯ ತಣಿಸಲೈ ಬೇಡಲೆಂದು ಬಂದ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿಯೇ ತಣಿವೆವಯ್ಯ ಮೋಡಿಗಾರನೇ ಹಿತವನುಡಿದು ಪೊರೆ ನಮ್ಮನು ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಸಂಘಿಯೇ ನಮೋ 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 ರಮಣ ಸದಾಶಿವ ಪ್ರಭಾವರಣ ನಮೋ ಮಹರ್ಷಿ ನಮೋ ಮಹರ್ಷಿ बोलो भगवान श्री रमण महर्षि की।